I am such a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like anyone else plays it. I actually like the newer games, but really don't mind playing the classic ones either. I was playing my favorite game, Sonic Unleashed, until I noticed, out of my vision, that the mailman had left something in my mailbox. I paused the game and to see what it was. It was only a CD box and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note first and then realized it was from my best friend Kyle, who I haven't heard from 2 weeks because I recognized his handwriting. But it was weird that it really looks bad. It looked, I don't know how to say this, but it kind of looked written, kind of looks badly written and scratchy, and it was kind of written in a hurry. The note said, "Here, I can't take it anymore. I have to get rid of this damn thing somehow. Before it was too late. I was hoping you'd do it to me. I can't do it. He's after me. If you don't distort the CD, he'll come after you as well. He's too fast for me. Just please, Tom, destroy the disc and you destroy him. Before he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc and you destroy him. Do it quick, otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even think about playing it. That's what he wants you to do. Just destroy it, please." Well, that was really weird. Certainly weird. I mean, Cal is my best friend, and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. I didn't do what he asked me. I mean, I didn't think that a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. It's just a game, right? Was I wrong about that? I looked at the disc and it didn't look like it kind of looked like an ordinary computer CDR, except it had a black marker which says Sonic.Exe. And it was much like unlike, well, Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must gotten it from someone or someone else, like a pawn shop or eBay. When I saw Sonic on the writing on the CD, I was actually excited and wanted to play it since I'm a big fan. You know why. I went up to my room and turned on the game and installed it. When the title appeared, it was one of the first Sonic games. I was like, awesome! Because because like I said earlier, I like the classic ones. Everything normal. That is until a fraction of a second. I saw something weird before cutting to black. The sky was getting dark. The title looked rusty and ruined and broken and destroyed. The Sega's 1991 was replaced by Sega 666, and the water had turned red, like blood. Hyper realistic blood. But the freakiest thing that was in the split second frame was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding from his sockets, with two shiny red dots staring right into my soul. And worse, his demonic smile has stretched out. I was rather disturbed about that image when I saw it. I thought I figured out that it was just a glitch and forgot about it. After it cut to black, it stayed for like 10 seconds, and it popped up another weird thing. A save file from a save file from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up, and I was like, what's this doing here in the first game? Anyway, I noticed something off. The background was dark, cloudy, sky of the bad, Stardust Speedway level from Sonic CD. And there were only 3 save files. The music was that creepy caverns of winter music from Earthbound, only it was extended and seemed to have been in reverse. And the image for the save file, where you see a preview of the level when you're just on, is just red static all 3 files. What freaked me out even more was the character select. It showed Miles Prower Tails, Knuckles the Echidna, and to my surprise, Dr. Ivor Robotnik. I was sure that something was up. I mean, how can you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic game? At that moment, I realized I was playing a hacked game. So yes, it definitely looked hacked. It was really creepy, but as smart as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared. I told myself that that it was just a hacked game and there's nothing wrong with that. Anyways, shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked file 1 and chose Tails. When I selected, it started the game froze about 5 seconds, and I heard a creepy, pixelated laugh. The screen stayed black for 10 seconds or more. Then it showed me a typical level title thing, except the simplistic shapes were different shades of red, and the text showed only Hill Act 1. The screen faded in, and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. But the music was different. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. And it kind of looked weird, like in Green Hill Zone, but a peaceful melody in reverse instead of the typical theme music like it does in the game. Anyway, I started playing and had Tails running through the level, like you would do in any other classic games. What was odd that Tails was running along the level. There was nothing wrong about it, but there was no enemies, there were no hills, and there were no platforms. It was just flat. Anyway, as I was going, I suddenly saw what really shook and made me terrified. Is where I stopped when I saw it was. Where it was one of the small animals laying dead on the ground, bleeding. Some of the animal's organs and insides were gutted out. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face that I have never seen him before. So I had to move along, and there were more animals that were brutally murdered by some weird way. And he kept that worried look on his face. As he was kept moving, I saw more dead bodies, animals, as Tails moved past them, looking more and more worried as the music lowers and slowly begins to be quiet, and he moves past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. They looked like somebody killed them, like a creature, a serial killer, in rather gruesome ways. A squirrel was hanged on a tree. What had happened to be his entrails hanging out. A bunny had all 4 his limbs torn off, and a duck had his eyes gouged out and his throat slit, and a little pig has his head decapitated, and a little chicken has a big golden ring back of his head. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently so did Tails. After a few more seconds, there were no more animals, and there were still no enemies, and the music seemed to have stopped, so I still have to kept Tails to continue. After a minute passed after the music stopped, Tails was running up a hill, and then he stopped. It wasn't until why I saw Sonic was there, on the other side of the screen, leaning on a tree, with his back against Tails, with his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faltered. Obviously, noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him. What was really suspicious, that Tails looked down to Sonic's hand, what appears to be blood. Wait, did he do it? Why is there blood on his hands? Tails walked slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make a move. It was like a cutscene. Suddenly, I began to hear a growing feel of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger, and something was going to happen to poor little Fox. I can also hear a faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped to stuck his hand out to touch him. The foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell the Tails get out away from Sonic as the foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black, just like from the main menu. And they were black, just like from the picture, with those black eyes and those glowing red dots. But there wasn't a smile, and when that happened, the screen turned black and the static was off. It stayed black for about 7 seconds, and I didn't really hear anything. But then the white text appeared, forming a message saying,
"Hello. Do you want to play with me?"
At this point, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue with the game, but my curiosity got the better of me, and when I was taken to a different level, with the level now saying, hide and seek, after the text disappeared, I was in shock about where I am. I was in Angel Island, and it looked like everything was on fire. The forest was burning, and it looked like it was like a never-ending burning forest. Tails looked at as though he was scared. Tails looked at the screen that he was very creeped out, and he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me, terrified. He wanted me to get him out of here as quick as possible, and made frantic gestures to me as he wanted to get out of this area as soon as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by this. Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall, trying to tell him to get him out of here. So I pressed down the arrow key as hard as I could and made him run through the burning forest as he could. Suddenly, I heard that demonic laugh again. That awful, creepy laugh. And then, out of nowhere, Sonic appeared behind him and then started to chase after him. The music also changed into this suspenseful drowning jingle as I see Sonic behind him. He's slowly getting up on him, flying. He wasn't running. That's right, he was actually flying. This time, he had the most deranged looking grin on his face as he was chasing the poor little fox. He looked as though he was enjoying to torment this little fox as he gained up to him. Suddenly, Tails tripped and the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails lay there and started to cry for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting and unsettling to watch, and I kind of teared up myself. But then, out of nowhere, the menacing blue hedgehog appeared right in front of Tails and he looked up in horror. Blood started to come down from those blackened eyes as a grin slowly grew from the side of his face as he looked down at the horrified fox. I couldn't do nothing but to watch.
Sorry, Tails, but you lose.
Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right before the screen went black. And there was a loud screaming noise that lasted about 5 seconds. The text returned, but only this time it said,
You're too slow, Tails. Wanna try again?
I was so shocked about what happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, he he couldn't he couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best friends. Why would Sonic do that to him? I shook the shook off as I was brought back to the character select. But Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, but he was in this TV in the static, which was flickering with that red static. His eyes were black and bleeding. His orange fur had gone black, and he had an expression of anguish on his face, trying to ignore it. I picked Knuckles next. The laugh came again, and this time the screen cut to black again and stayed there. And then this time the level said, "You can't run." I was really, really freaked out by now. I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch, or a hack, or some kind of sick, twisted joke, or anything really. But I think maybe Kyle was telling the truth. But despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The level looks more different this time. It had the ground of the scrap brain zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had a darkened, reddish, cloudy sky, but the music really creeped me out. It sounded like Gygas's theme right after you beat Pokey in Earthbound. I also noticed that Knuckles looked really afraid and scared, just like Tails did. Though not as much, more rather, he looked a little unnerved. He also broke the fourth wall, just like Tails, and looked like he wasn't sure about going on. But I made a move anyway. He ran down straight pathway in this dark level. And as he did, the screen started to flicker red static a couple of times, and that maddening laugh came again. But then after seconds of running, I noticed several blood stains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking something is going to happen to Knuckles. He looked very nauseated walking down to this blood-stained road. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right in front of him once again, with those blackened red eyes. And then the static appeared again. When the static vanished, showing nothing but a black screen with a white text saying,
Knuckles.
I was now scared. I was freaking terrified. Sonic actually found him already. Anyway, the red static came again, and I was brought back to the level, but this time Knuckles looked like he was panicking and nowhere to be found. And Sonic was nowhere to be found. And this time, it was that high, the sound it makes, well, this, like a cutscene after the static vanished. It played some kind of high-pitched squealing from the final boss in the game Silent Hill was playing. Was this like a boss fight against him? I hope to God it wasn't, honestly. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles in what appeared to be some kind of black smoke. I made Knuckles to turn to punch Sonic to get revenge, but Sonic vanished. He vanished before I could even land a hit against this horrid hedgehog. And that terrible laugh went off. Then Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again and again and again, and I tried to punch him again, and Sonic vanished again, laughing like a maniac. Knuckles was panicking even more and even more, and I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing a game with us, a sick, twisted little mind game with me and Knuckles, as he keeps teleporting and laughing at us. Another cutscene plays as Knuckles falls on his knees and clutched his head, sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. And then, in a split second,
Game over, Knuckles.
Sonic lunged at Knuckles like he did to Tails, and then he screamed once again. Another text appeared, but then it was more creepier.
So many souls to play with. So little time. Would you agree?
What the hell is going on? Just what the freaking hell is going on? I started to think that Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. I was brought back to the main menu again, once again, but the second file box had Knuckles in a TV screen again, like Tails. His red fur has darkened into a reddish gray. His dreadlocks were dripping blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too. And he had a sad look on his face. I began to think that those are the actual characters trapped in those TV screens. And I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. So I shut off the game and took a break and a nap. I wish I hadn't, cause then I began to have the most disturbing nightmare. I was in a pitch black darkness. I was in some kind of pitch black darkened room, though under me there was like a light given off by a lamp that was hung high above my head. I could hear the cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like, "Help us," and "Why did you give him to him?"
Why did you give us to him?
And
Run away before he gets you too.
their cries died out, and then I heard Sonic laugh. His laugh. It sounded like even more creepier. But then I heard a voice.
You are a lot of fun to play with, kid. Just like your friend Kyle. Though he didn't last long.
I was scared and looking around for the source of the voice.
Won't be long now until you join him and all my other friends.
I saw him walking towards me, flickering in and out in several directions.
You can't run, kid. You're in my world, just like Beetlejuice.
When he grabbed me, and I saw his bleeding black and red eyed, grinning face, I woke up with a fright. After a couple of hours, I decided to continue with playing the game. I don't know why, but I had to know. I had to figure out why this was happening. So I turned on the computer, turned on the game, and selected Robotnik, which was the last one. I don't know if he's going to die or maybe live. I still thought that was wacky, playing as Robotnik. But anyway, the level title appeared again, but this time it's only said dot dot dot, which I found really freaky. But this time I was in some kind of hallway with purple walls, and there were candles everywhere, and there was nothing much, and they would have like dark blood stains and there, and there was a dark red curtain hanging above on the top of the screen, slowly glowing. But whenever you're playing the game, you can barely see it move. The music was oddly pleasant. The piano playing a rather sad yet peaceful music, but it kind of sounded familiar. It was the song that played in Hill Act 1, only it wasn't in reverse. Robotnik didn't really look nervous at all, just like Tails or Knuckles did, but he did have the most suspicious look on his face, as he was just a little bit of paranoid. He did a little animation when I left him standing. He turns his head to the left and to the right at least twice, and then he shrugs at me, as he had no idea where to go. Even though I was scared out of my mind about what was going to happen to Robotnik, I had him to continue onward. He did a usual running animation. You know, when you see him, when you beaten him at the classic Sonic game, and you chase him, as we continued going through the hallway. Then I stopped at a flight of stairs leading downward, so I was nervous. Even Robotnik, unsure himself, though I pressed onward. As I led Robotnik down the stairs, I noticed the walls have gone darker and more reddish. The torches the red torches have now become the mysterious blue light. Really eerie blue color. Then we landed onto another flight of stairs. Then we landed onto another hallway. This one was longer than the last one, or at least it felt like it. And then we headed down to another flight of stairs down. This one was much longer. It took at least 1 minute. I heard that laugh again, and then the music slowly stopped and faded until it was quiet. As it did, the walls turned more dark. As it did, the walls turned more dark red, and the torches went out. When Robotnik landed to the third hallway, I now noticed that he really looked freaked out and scared and creeped out. He tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him. I was too scared. Suddenly,
Hello, Eggman. It's an honor.
Sonic popped up right in front of me and Robotnik, the same way he did to Knuckles. And then the red static came again. The static lasted for about 15 seconds, and then it showed me the most unpleasant, terrifying, the most gruesome image I have ever seen in my entire life. The image showed a hyper-realistic Sonic standing in the darkness, where you can only see his face, while his head and torso fade into black. When I say hyper-realistic, I mean he looked so realistically realistic real. You can actually see the lines in his fur. And as you can actually feel the fur if you touch the screen. His face. Oh my god, he had the most terrifying, horrifying smile I have ever seen. And that's saying something considering that that was the image that at the start of the game. His eyes were wide and black, and once again crying blood, and there were two small glowing red dots in those blackened eyes, staring right into my soul, and is as if it was staring at my mind. His grin was wide and demonic. It literally stretched to the sides of his face like a Cheshire cat, except he had fangs, razor sharp, bloodthirsty teeth, or fangs, much like the werehog's teeth, except more vicious looking, somewhat yellowish, and from the look of it, he had stains of blood and small bits of flesh on his lips, and fangs as if he ate at some animal. I stared at the image for a good 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off that grotesque image. I felt that he was actually looking at me, smiling at me, and that face, it just took it just took 10 seconds for it to etch itself into my brain for good. And then the screen flickered with a red static 3 times. The third time, I heard the laugh again, except it sounded more distorted and deeper and even more demonic even ever. It went back to the image again, except this time there was a text again that it was so messed up, but it was pretty much one of the most horrifying image. But it was pretty much one of the most horrifying things I looked at since I had this game. It was when I read that message while looking at Sonic when it hit me. I realized right there and then it's that Sonic was a pure, evil, sadistic, powerful, all powerful, nightmarish, horrifying, demented, murderous monster, and all of his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, Kyle, and possibly the other critters and animals, are his little toys. And the game is a very getaway into his chaotic nightmares world and the very hell his victims are trapped in. But suddenly, in a split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, screeching loudly, with his mouth wide open to an unnatural length, revealing nothing but a spiraling abyss of pure darkness before the red static came again. This time, it was much louder and distorted, so loud that it hurts my ears. I yelled and cried and grabbed my ears as the static screeched for a last good 7 seconds before it stopped and showed nothing but a black screen. As I sat there, one last text appeared, but this time it was even more terrifying.
Ready for round two, Tom?
It was horrible. The laugh sounded more demonic, as if Sonic was right behind me, cackling manically, but then turned around. He was not there. Then I thought he was right behind me, laughing, but then it stopped. I booted up my I got booted up. Suddenly, I got booted back to the main menu again, and took a break from my ears, from that terrifying jump scare it made, from that terrifying sequence it made. I took a break after the horrifying experience Sonic gave me. And this time, the third save file had Robotnik in it, in the TV image, tormented state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin turned into a dull gray. His mustache drooped and had blackened. His glasses broke with a crack and blood coming down from them. And he had more dead-like expression on his face. I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and I cried a bit. I pitied for them. The agony they're going through. They were trapped forever in that cursed game, forever tormented by that horrid demonic hedgehog. And always will be. Then the computer shut it off itself, and I couldn't turn it back on. No matter what I did, I sat there for maybe 25 seconds, horrified at what that just happened. Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortures people who plays his game in more ways than one, and then when he gets bored, he drags you into the game. Literally drags you to hell where he can play with you, always, as his toy. I can't get the game out of my computer then. I think it's stuck in there. But at least I managed to get the game, and but at least I managed to get the computer turned back on again. After I sat there for 25 seconds, I heard a voice right behind me, like a whisper.
Try and keep this interesting for me, Tom.
I turned around and to see where that voice was coming from, but what I saw made me scream, sitting on my bed, staring right at me. Was a Sonic stuffed animal, smiling, with blood stains on his eyes.
You had a chance to comply. Now you've come too far. Can you hear them? They're trying to tell you something. Oh, playing with them was so much fun. Almost as fun as you will. There was Gary and Jake and Kyle and Alice and so many more.